Hey guys, how's it going? Kripp here. So yesterday, when the new support gems were introduced on Exilepro, I made a post summarizing my thoughts on the mechanics and what I predict the support gems will be good at in the game. And I received some feedback, some negative, some positive, and I wanted to clear up some of the issues that are involved. A lot of the points were that, I didn't really try with physical weapons and face breaker stuff may work. The reality is that there are certain mechanics behind these support gems that are not obvious. So, there's a certain kind of mindset where there's this new gem. Oh my God, I saw Kripperian use it. I gotta use it. I gotta get it. It's the best thing in the world. I tried on, and my damage doesn't really get much better. In fact, I can show you that actually, in some scenarios, your damage can actually become worse. So, why is this? When it comes to the support gems, at least the melee ones that I showed you guys, the power charge on Kripp, that's kind of self-explanatory. When it comes to the melee ones, they touch on a mechanic that has been brought up in the past, and it comes to the point where the skill gem does something new, something different, but as a result, it lowers your physical damage by a percentage. So, let's go over Multistrike, and you can kind of use what I say about Multistrike to kind of reference Melee Splash in the same way. So with Multistrike, in my little write-up on Exilepro, I said that it scales really well with elemental damage as opposed to physical damage. It actually sucks for physical damage. Scaling it with elemental damage then results in, wanting more attack speed. And on top of that, the Multistrike gem has an attack speed multiplier, and as a result, it also makes attack speed more valuable, which in turn boosts additive elemental damage. They all work together. So if you're using Multistrike, yes, you can use it with physical, but there are very few attacks that actually benefit from it if they are physical based. It's typically the very fast attack speed with a fast weapon with additive elemental damage that you're going to see the most out of this gem. Some people are a little bit disappointed because they've been waiting for so long for such a buff and they haven't really gotten it. But I'm going to show you the hard facts here so you guys can understand where I'm coming from. So first, I'll have the gem here. I can put in the corner so you guys can see what it does. So supported melee repeats 2 additional times. That's not really relevant. What's relevant is the more melee attack speed. So it does 88% more melee attack speed, which is more meaning a multiplier, so it multiplies your attack speed. I believe it's around like level 13 or something that it doubles your attack speed. And in the end, because it gains 2% attack speed per level, so you can, it's, plus, 38, and 38 on top of 88, what does that give you? That gives you 126. So eventually you can have like 126 or some shit. But let's just use the 100% more for the simple calculation so I can prove my point. The second part is less melee damage. So what we found out yesterday on stream is that Lightning Strike, the projectile, is not affected. So for Lightning Strike, if you want to go physical Lightning Strike, it's actually an amazing gem. But for all other physical-based attacks, not so much. The less melee damage pretty much means that it's a 0.6 multiplier on all the melee damage of your melee attacks. Now, before I get started, I want to show you guys how armor works. This is the armor page from the wiki, and it shows damage reduction is equal to armor divided by bracket armor plus 12 times the damage. So what this means is the percentage that the attack is reduced by is relative to how large the hit is. So this means that if you hit for a lot of damage, the armor doesn't reduce very much as a percentage. But if you hit for very low damage, the armor reduces a lot as a percentage. If you use this formula and you put it in an Excel spreadsheet or something similar, like I have this calculation that I use every now and then. This spreadsheet is pretty much based off of solely that formula. I can show you guys why Multistrike sucks with physical. The first thing to keep in mind before I input and tell you guys about the values that I have here is that on the tooltip on your character in Path of Exile, it assumes that the monsters have 0 armor. which to my understanding is not true. So the second point is, if they actually have armor, how much do they have? I don't really know, but based on the evasion values, which can be extrapolated from the evasion formula based on your chance to hit, based on your level, I think an approximate 8,000 value, which I have inputted here, is probably within several thousand, hopefully. But I'll just show you guys to prove my point nonetheless. So I have here that the monsters do have 8,000 armor, and that your player does an average of 1,000 physical damage. And you can see that the damage taken by the monster past the armor that it reduces the hit by is 600, which is a 40% reduction. So where does this come into play? Well, if Multistrike, let's say it doubled your attack speed and reduced your melee physical by 40%, it'll reduce, this is, let's just say without Multistrike, it'll reduce your hit to 600 because it'll be 40% less. So your 600 hit is now, from armor, a 284 hit, which is a 52.6% reduction. And if the attack speed is doubled, you went from doing, back to 1,000 damage, you were hitting for 600, back to 600 from the base, you're doing 284 at twice the attack speed. So your DPS actually goes down, despite the tooltip showing that your DPS goes up because it doesn't account for the armor. So this is what people tend to talk about. This is what they're referring to when they say that physical sucks when stacking attack speed. This is very relevant because a lot of people don't understand this mechanic. They either go by the tooltip, or they assume that the monsters have no armor, or they assume that armor just doesn't do anything or isn't there. The reality of the situation is that when you have something that does very, very fast attacks, but at the same time reduces your physical damage, or reduces your damage as a whole, it'll always favor elemental damage, because elemental damage is reduced by the resistances of the monsters, which do not change based on the amount that you're hitting them for. So if you hit them for like 1,000 cold damage in your melee hit, although the 1,000 cold damage is reduced to 600 from the 40% penalty of Multistrike, the 600 cold hit is not reduced at a greater percentage compared to the 1,000 cold hit. So this is the most important thing to keep in mind, so that when you're planning out a character, when you're trying this stuff, you really understand the core of the issue, and you can kind of plan out a character, plan out a build more appropriately. Because, sometimes all these new gems is, I gotta have it, I gotta use it, I saw Krippers use it, I gotta use it, it's the best thing in the world, it's new, oh my god. And then you use it and you think it's better, but it may not be the case. It's very important to know this stuff, and I hope I've educated some of you guys about how this shit works, and kind of highlighted the problem of why physical damage really sucks in this game. So, hopefully you guys learned something, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.